Hi everybody, today we're going to take a look at web quests in the classroom, exactly what they are, and we're just going to go ahead and jump right into web quests. So the three items or three things that we're going to focus on today are what is a web quest, the elements of a web quest, and finally we'll provide you some WebQuest resources. And this presentation will also be available in Blackboard, so you'll actually be able to open it in Blackboard and then access the resources here that I show you at the end of the presentation. So the first thing we're going to look at is what is a web quest? Well, to put it literally, the definition is an inquiry-oriented activity in which students interact with information gleaned primarily from resources on the internet. Now we're going to go ahead, we're going to break this down a little bit further, but it is a fantastic tool for instance, development of critical thinking skills, reading and writing skills, communication skills. We're going to look more at types of resources and benefits of web quests here. So why use a web quest, right? There's tons of new technologies and new strategies and new pedagogies that are out there. Why use web quests? So web quests line up with the ODE, Ohio Department of Education standards for technology. Also, these align well with ISTE standards for teachers and students. So really, it promotes inquiry, student-centered learning, all these things that really kind of fall in line and skills that the ODE standards for technology call for. It's also a good web quest for a constructivist point of view. As I mentioned before, it focuses on that problem solving, that peer teaching, some social learning in there as well. It's non-linear. Students can move around back and forth. There's a direction to it, but that they don't have to continuously move and accomplish one specific item to move on to the next. So it allows you kind of as the teacher to become more of a facilitator, and the learners are more encouraged to interact with each other and also exchange views and experiences based upon the topic of the web quest. The student becomes an investigator. As the teacher, you will provide them with resources, and we'll talk more about what types of resources you may want to consider using, but they are the ones that are going and doing the investigating. You're just simply providing them the tools to do so. Bloom's taxonomy, web quests do a great job of scaffolding and building upon skills and previous knowledge to reach a specific goal, have students produce a certain product, for instance. I already touched on the student-centered learning aspect of it, and then the self-paced learning, again, it's non-linear. They can go back and forth. You give them the time to work on it, and they're on their own. It's very independent. Now, to be careful, there are a couple things to be wary of. For instance, you want to make sure that you've created an authentic task, not anything inauthentic. Let the students get in there and get working. Make sure you choose an appropriate topic. So make sure it's not inappropriate. This could be dependent upon age level, or maybe just the topic itself, or the type of school district that you may be in. If it's a private school, for instance, some topics may be more controversial than others. So be wary of that. That doesn't mean that you have to shy away from social issues or cultural things or anything like that. Just be careful of how it's implemented and framed. And then try to avoid web quests that only have one right answer. So for instance, at the end of the web quest, they go on and complete a Google form as their assessment at the end. That's what we want to try to avoid. Now, in building a web quest, there's multiple steps here. Basically, the first thing you want to do is you're going to choose a topic: ancient Rome, the life cycle, shapes, whatever it is. And then you're going to go ahead and start designing what it's going to look like and the steps that go into it. What specifically do you want them to do? This is when you formulate that task. What is the product that you want them to be able to do? What are they doing? Then the evaluation table is simply a rubric or some type of assessment or project that the students would be doing. Once you have that all figured out, now you can start to go and develop your resources. Start kind of thinking about what you want to do. You'll provide an introduction and conclusion, which we'll talk more about in a moment. And then you're going to add multimedia elements. Now, this can be a wide variety of things that you implement or include. This could be, for instance, videos. This could be links to primary sources. This could be links to, for instance, games or music, like vocabulary is another thing that you could possibly hyperlink to. The list is really endless. Infographics and things of that nature. Audio recordings. So what are the resources and the multimedia elements that you would like to check? And then always go back and make sure right here, is your project accomplishing what you would like, or your web quest, I'm sorry. Is it on task? Are the roles good? And things of that nature. Now, the second thing we're going to look at here are the elements of a web quest. And essentially, there are 5 main elements. You have your introduction, which is just simply on the first page, you welcome your students to the specific activity that you're doing and try to drum up some interest for that student. The second portion you're going to go to is called the task. We're going to look more about these, go over these a little bit more in detail here in a second. Basically, this is you talk about what is going to be happening and what is the goal of the specific assignment. The process, this tells students step-by-step directions of how they will accomplish the task. Resources, this is where you'll start to put your links or documents, for instance, here. And then evaluation, so how will the students be actually assessed in this? What is the criteria that's going to help them understand what they need to demonstrate for understanding, quality of work, etc., that goes into that. So intro, this is for your students. And the big thing here is remember who your audience is. It is the students. So again, set that stage. Now this can be included either in the introduction or the conclusion page, which is the teacher name and contact information. Because as I will show you here in a couple minutes, it's really easy to go online and search for these. And you want to make sure if somebody has questions, they can go ahead and reach out to you. And it's really nice. So introduction, here's an example introduction from a student I had in a previous semester. You can see they chose to put their information, their teaching standard here. They put that all on the introduction page. And here she is introducing the lecture or the assignment, exactly what it is, and a nice little introduction video. The second step is the task. So this is where you focus on what you specifically want the learners to do or your students to do. What's going to be that final product that they produce that's going to guide them through this entire assignment. What are they going to be giving to you? So what's the goal here when they get there? And then try, when possible, to have students work within pairs or groups. Try to not let them work individually. Depending on the type of classroom you have, it's not necessarily that you have to have them working in groups. You can kind of vary that up. There are different types of Webquests. There's the short term and the long term. If you're having students participate for something and they're just doing something for one day, well, okay, you can probably get away with doing an individual work. But generally, you want these to be within pairs or groups. And especially when students go into groups, it's extremely important that they have specific roles or tasks that each person will be completing, and they are assigned to those, or they can select those. That way it keeps everybody on task as they work through the Webquest. Here's an example page here. This Webquest, you will look up the ecosystem, choose and fill out the 4 categories on an organizer I will give to you. And you can see here the task. The third page of your Webquest or third tab should be the process. Now this is where you will actually go and outline what the learners are going to accomplish, what they will accomplish. So the scaffolding, this is where you want to find, this are the clear steps and directions as to exactly how they're going to reach that task. Here you can, if you would like, provide resources. I've seen some where resources aren't on their individual page, others where resources are included on the process. Not a huge deal either way, just something to think about. This is where you go ahead and you give them that tools, as she was talking about with the graphic organizer, to organize information. So make sure that your process breaks things down into small bite-sized chunks in terms of directions, and that they're easy to understand and thorough. So set the expectations here. And as I mentioned, the internet sources that you provide, or again, documents maybe you upload from your Google Drive, for instance, if you're using Google Sites, this can be either here or on a separate tab. So here's your process tab, follow these steps, get into groups, and you can see here very clearly she has her steps written out. And then here's her resources page. So notice these pictures contain links to each ecosystem. Then she gives her directions here for the rest of what it is. But notice, so she's told us now that if we click on this picture, that's going to take us to a hyperlink. That's going to take us outside of this specific Webquest. So there's your resource. So these videos here, as you can see, she had 8 of them. Some of them were videos, some of them were websites. It took her students to those, and that was the information that she actually utilized for this assignment. So she provided them the places to go. Evaluation, always make sure you have a page that is devoted to evaluation. So how are students going to be assessed? How are they going to demonstrate mastery of that specific content? So some form of measurement is needed. I recommend always putting in some sort of rubric. This can be for whatever, if they're making a comic strip at the end, if they're doing a skit, if they're making an infographic, whatever it is, a poster. Make sure you have a rubric here, holds them accountable, it holds you accountable, and that way they can go back and forth and look, okay, what exactly are we looking for here? Have it on there. That way you're transparent all the way. It's very easy to do. As you can see, a lot of times what people like to do is they'll just go ahead and embed their rubric directly onto that evaluation tab. That way it's here, and you can find that for you and the student. In a few minutes, I'm going to give you, actually a few seconds, I'm going to give you a resource here where you can go and make your own rubrics. Or actually, let me go back. Right here, Rubistar. So if you click this, this is a fantastic website that you go in, you sign up, it's free, and then you can build all of your own rubrics, and you can download them as an Excel document, you can upload them into your Drive, etc. It's a fantastic tool. So sorry about that going back there. We're going to go ahead and move forward. So the last slide is conclusion. This is where you bring everything together. Here again, if you would like, you can put your teacher name and contact information. It's just simply, I hope you enjoyed this activity, etc., etc. It doesn't have to be anything Pulitzer Prize winning or anything like that. As you can see, congratulations, you finished your project. A couple images, and then just some simple things about, again, some questions maybe moving forward and things of that nature. And as you can see up here on the taskbar, or the tab bar, excuse me, you can see the different tabs or pages that are included: introduction, task, process, resources, evaluation, and conclusion. Lastly, we're going to look at some Webquest resources. These are just 5 resources I provided for you. Webquest.org is a fantastic resource. This is from San Diego State University. You can go in, you can search for different Webquests. You can find Webquests that have been shared. Really, really great website for you for finding resources. Another one is Eduscape. Eduscape provides you, again, with some different topics and tips on how to create Webquests, and provides you with different designs and templates as well that you can go with. Teachers First. Similar concept, but here now you can start to sort by, for instance, grade level and things of that nature as well. So it's really, really nice, all 3 of these websites. Here I have a couple rubrics. Again, just some examples for you. And lastly, show you this rubric here. This is again available on the Blackboard page. You can find these. The Webquest Quality Scale. These are very good. Again, you don't have to take all of them. You can kind of pick and choose. That's what I would do. I'd go and try to find a few different Webquest rubrics that I could put together to make my own for my class to really fit the needs of my classroom, and hopefully you do the same. So lastly here, essentially a teacher is one who makes themselves progressively unnecessary. So our objective when we look at things like technology, how can we really move to the side like this here and let the student take over and be that center of learning? That's the motivation that we're trying to get to as teachers. So with Webquest, if we provide the Webquest the right way, we provide the right tools, this really does a good job of letting our students go ahead, become that center of learning, develop those critical thinking skills, engage with their peers, and learn how to collaborate and problem solve along the way. So hopefully this presentation helps you with Webquest, and you're able to utilize these going forward.